Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Saturday morning practice. For those of you who are on Insight Timer, can you give me a sound check? Make sure everything's okay. In the past, we had some problem with Insight Timer. Thank you. All right, so we'll be spending the next hour and a half together. I call this the boot camp, where we train once a week together, hoping that during the rest of the week, you'll be training yourself on your own. But lately, in the last 2 months or so, this has become a sanctuary as well, um, where we would try to, what I call last week, weaponize mindfulness as a technique to um, maintain not just physical health, not just a mental health, but also spiritual health in light of all the chaos and nonsense that are going on outside. But in any case, so today we alternate from week to week, and today we're going to be back. We're back to what I call pranayama. Yama is a Sanskrit word. Pranayama is a Sanskrit word. Yama means practice, and pana means breathe, right? But it particularly means breathing with your lower abdomen or lower stomach, and that turned out to be a very important part of our longevity practice. So to prepare for that, we need to do some joint exercise, loosening up some joints first, improving the circulations in the body. And we're going to be doing joint exercise on the wrist, on the elbow, and on the shoulder. That's in the upper body. And then on the equivalent part on the lower body would be the ankle, the knee, and the hip. All right. So now keep in mind that everything that we do here is a meditation, and just that we separate it into either static or dynamic. Static is when we sit, stand, and when we lie down. And dynamic is when we walk, which includes exercise. Those are the four postures that only human beings are capable of in this vast um, animal world. Now, let's focus on our body first. Let's anchor our mind on the lower part of a spine. Let's walk up the spine, one joint at a time, towards the top of the head. As we walk up the spine, I want you to stretch the spine towards the ceiling. Stretch your spine towards the ceiling. And then I want you to focus now on your shoulder, anchor your mind on the shoulder, lift up that shoulder, lift up the entire upper torso as if you're raising your shoulder to your ears. Then I want you to lean back the upper torso. At the same time, open that shoulder, open as hard as you can, as if you're squeezing a tennis ball in the back. Then I want you to relax the shoulder and then relax the spine. Now that's a proper posture. Now I want you to anchor your mind on the center of your palm. And by anchoring, I meant mindfulness. That's the meaning of mindfulness. I talked about it in the past. The Sanskrit word for mindfulness is sati. Sati means to remember. So we remember where we put our mind, we anchor it on the center of palm, we bring up the hands together, mind, body together. And the Sanskrit word for mind, body togetherness is in fact yuja. Nowadays we call it yoga. Now we focus on the wrists, and we're going to turn the wrists one turn at a time. And I want you to think about each turn being separate from the other. Each turn has a beginning and an end. And at the very beginning of the turn, I want you to check to see that your mind is actually on your wrist. Follow your wrist as you turn. Pay attention to the change in your wrist. See if there's any heat, sweat, numb, pain, even. One turn at a time. Every time you finish, you check your mind. You make sure that your mind is anchored on your wrist. We're practicing mindfulness now. One turn at a time. I call this mindfulness in motion. One turn at a time. One turn at a time. Every turn is its own beginning and an end. And now I want you to turn the other way. Continue to turn, one turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Now I want you to lower your hand, but before you lower your hand, make sure your mind is at the center of your palm. Bring it back down the same way you brought it up. And back to the spine again. Stretch the spine, lift up the shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, relax the shoulder, relax the spine. Now we're going from the wrist to the elbow. Let's anchor a mind on the center of a palm. Bring it up the same way we did before, all the way up to the shoulder level. Now I want you to focus on the elbow. And again, we turn the elbow one turn at a time, one turn at a time. There's a beginning and an end. Beginning is the time that we check our mind, make sure the mind is anchored on our elbow. And then as we turn, we focus on examining the change in the elbow. Focus on the sensation, one turn at a time. And then when we get to the end, we said to ourselves, okay, we did one turn, let's do another one. And that actually is called diligence. And you remember that I mentioned that the five faculties, the first three, the foundation, which starts with faith or confidence, then mindfulness, and connecting the two is actually diligence. The three is the foundation. Now we're going to turn the other way. Now's the time to again anchor your mind on your elbow, one turn at a time, one turn at a time, one turn at a time. Now we're going to lower our hand, so make sure your mind is focused on the center of your palm. Bring it back down and back to a spine again. Let's stretch the spine, open the shoulder, lean back, and then relax. We're going from the elbow to the shoulder, from the wrist to the elbow, and now to the shoulder. Let's focus on the center of the palm again. Let's bring up a hand, cross a hand slowly, bring it in front of us, bring it on top of us. And now we're going to stretch towards the ceiling. Stretch as hard as you can. And before you bring it back down, make sure that your mind is focused on the center of your palm. You turn your wrist 90 degrees, you open the shoulder, you feel the pain in your shoulder. And then start from zero again. Focus on the center of your palm. Bring it up slowly on top of your head. Stretch. Focus on the center of your palm. Turn your palm outward. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Bring it back down. Focus on the center of your palm again. Brought it up. Bring it up. Stretch. Open. Feel the pain. Let go of the pain. Bring it back up. Stretch. Palms pointing out. Open that shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let's do it two more times. Bring it up. Stretch. Open the shoulder. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. One last time. Bring it back up. Stretch. Open. And then relax. Now we're going to go the other way. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Open first. Stretch. Bring it back down. Completely focus on the center of your palm. And bring it back down. One more time. Open first. Stretch. And then bring it back down. Now we're going to go from front and back. Now, even though we're doing joint exercise and understanding that this is a meditation technique, it's called mindfulness in motion, using the movement of the body to maintain mindfulness. But it's also a practice of the four foundations of mindfulness. And one of that foundation is called the mindfulness of the feeling. And this is where we talked about last week, something called samatha. Samatha, vipassana, those are the two things you practice simultaneously. Usually starting with samatha. Samatha in this case, and I explained that last week, in Chinese is written as one side is black, which represents loyalty and dedication, and the other side is a canine, is a dog. So the technique actually is described as a guarding dog, a very dedicated and loyal guarding dog, guarding your sense doors. So think about your doors opening to the outside are the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue, the skin, and your thinking mind. And what's going on outside is the light, It's the sound, it's the smell, it's the taste, and it's the touch. And we need to learn how to guard that because, as I said, the world is full of chaos, it's full of just all kinds of craziness. And we need to really protect ourselves. And the way to do that is to learn to protect our sense doors. Just like the guard dog that possesses the door to your property, the guard dog will notice the adversaries, and as soon as the adversary leave, it stays behind. It doesn't chase after. It's the same as saying that if someone says something bad to you, as long as you don't let it enter your inner sanctum, you just let it go. So let's continue. Keep in mind that we are practicing the mindfulness of the feeling. We're practicing samatha, guarding our sense doors. We're using the pain on the shoulder as a vehicle for that. So let's come back to our body, focus on the lower part of the spine, move towards the top of the head, stretch that spine. Now focus on the shoulder, lift up the shoulder as if you're bringing the shoulder to your ears, entire upper torso towards the ceiling. Then you lean back, open that shoulder, relax the shoulder, relax the spine. Now we continue to do the shoulder joint exercise, going from front to back, not just as exercise of the body, but exercise for the mind as well. Let's focus on the center of a palm, mind, body together. Bring it in front of you. Focus on the center of the palm. Bring it on top of you. Now let's open the shoulder as far back as we can. Feel the pain on your shoulder. Let go of the pain. Come back to the center of the palm. Bring it up. All the way back. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Just like the guard dog. You feel the intruder, but as long as the intruder is outside, you let it go. You let it go. Don't let it become you. Open. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Continue. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Continue. Open. Feel it. Accept it. And then let it go. One more time. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Now sit up straight. We're going to go back to front. Continue. Stretch. Come back down. All the way back. Stretch. Come back down. All the way back. Stretch. Come back down. All the way back. Stretch. And then down together with the center of your palm. Come back to the posture again, stretch the spine, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Now we're doing meditation, but this time, instead of moving, we're stationary. We actually now try to do meditation while sitting. And when we're moving, whether we're walking or exercising, we anchor a mind on the body, any part of the body. But when we're stationary, whether we're sitting, standing, or lying down, especially lying down. So when you go to sleep, take that as an opportunity to do meditation. Focus on your breath, one breath at a time. So now we're going to do our meditation while we're sitting, focusing on a breath. Let's start with knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I can feel my in-breath. I know I'm breathing out. I can feel my out-breath. Every time you do an energetic exercise, the first thing you want to do is you want to sit, relax, and then examine your breath. When you finish energetic exercise, you will have some huffing and puffing. Your breath is very, very irregular and rapid. That means that your mind is also very irregular and rapid. The breath reflects your mind. So now we want to calm down our breath at the same time calm down our mind. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out, one breath at a time. So one of the things that you should notice is that I'm here for an hour and a half and then another half an hour Dharma talk, maybe 20 minutes, and I hardly drink water, right? Even when I'm exercising, even when I'm doing energetic exercise, I have to keep up by swallowing my saliva. That's because I do what I said, which is I focus on my body, focus on the center of palm. When you do that, you enter into the rest and digest. Okay. When you enter into the rest and digest, enter into what we call parasympathetic nerve system, then it turns the saliva gland back on. When you're energetic, when you are in the fight or flight, the first thing it does is it turns off your saliva gland because when you're being chased by adversaries, the body reacts and it turns off all your immune system and it turns off your digestive system. And so, in this time of chaos, it's very important that you learn how to protect yourself. Okay, it's very hard. It's very easy to kind of follow that anger, that chaos, that fear, all the things that's going on out there, and actually destroy your own health. You destroy your own health because you're stuck in the fight or flight, right? That's a big problem we have these days. Is that we see our president, we see all the people now who have been approved, who have been by the Senate, who are sitting in the head of all these departments. These are predators. These are predators. It's unfortunate that we have them in a position of power. The next 4 years is going to be very tough. And, we had a Super Bowl last week, and the team that won obviously won on defense. But they couldn't have won on defense if they didn't do a good job in defense. Defense comes first. So here, what we're doing is we're learning how to do defense. We're learning how to protect ourselves. And one indication of how you protect yourself is make sure you have saliva. You self-hydrate. And so I want you to recognize that. And so when I say anchor your mind on your center of your palm, anchor on the bottom of your feet, anchor in your breath, you try to listen to that. Okay. And that is indication that um, you're restoring your physical and your mental health. All right. It's very simple. It's just a very simple thing. All right. Okay, now we're going to continue. We're going to do one more exercise in learning how to guard our senses. Guard our senses, right? And guarding your senses is like guarding the doors and windows to your house. You don't want to bring that chaos into your house. You don't want to bring that chaos into your family. At least that is your sanctuary. For the same reason that your house is a sanctuary, your body is a sanctuary. And the doors and the windows to of that sanctuary are the eyes, the nose, the ears, the tongue, and the body. All right, let's do one more exercise where we learn to guard our senses. And by guarding our senses, once again, it's like the guard dog. It's a very loyal and dedicated guard dog. They don't drift away from the house. They don't drift away on their primary responsibility, which is to guard. All right. So let's do that again. Now we'll come back to the spine, stretch your spine, lift up a shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back and relax. Okay, always do that because it's very important. All right, so now we're going to put the left hand in front and then we're going to put the stretch out the right hand. We move one hand at a time. So not only are we doing this for physical health, we're doing it for neurological health, separating the right brain from the left brain. So let's focus on the right arm. Make a very gentle circle. Follow the center of your palm. Open it as far back as you can. Feel that pain as if you're feeling the intruder. And don't follow the intruder. Accept that intruder and let go of the intruder. Okay, let's continue. Left hand, right hand stationary. Feel the pain. Accept that pain. Let go of the pain. Okay, right hand side. Feel that pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain. Sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Right hand, feel it, feel the pain, accept that pain, let go of the pain. Sit up straight, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Let it go means come back to the center of palm. Don't let your mind drift. Don't let that pain become suffering. All right? Don't follow it. And let it go. Left hand, feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Right hand, two more time. Feel it, accept it, and then let it go. Left hand, very gently feel it one last time, accept it, and then let it go. Back to the breathing, one breath at a time. I know that I'm breathing in. I know that I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. Okay? The only defense you have against predators is just say to them, I don't play your game. I am not going to play your game. I'm going to protect myself. I'm not going to fall. I understand the pain that you're trying to infringe on us. I can feel it. I can accept it, but I'm not going to play that. I'm not going to become that. It's very, very important. Okay? It's how you empower yourself. Don't play the victim game. It's very important. Okay? I think I told this story once before. When I became a professor at UCLA, I was 31 years old. I was the young professor sitting in my first department meeting. I was surrounded by all the senior faculty. Most of them are white, of course. And we were discussing at that time, this is many years ago, at that time we were talking about admission and talking about whether or not we should have a equal opportunity policy back then. That's what it's called. And they were having these discussions. I was a junior faculty, and I learned how to keep my mouth shut, just sitting in the corner. And all of a sudden, one of the senior faculty turned to me and said, "Dang, what do you think?" So I said, "What do I think? What do you mean? What are you talking about?" Oh, they were talking about equal opportunity. He says, "What do you think? You're a minority." I was too young. My mouth was writing checks that I couldn't cash. So without even thinking about it, I opened my mouth. I said, "Sir, I am not a minority. I am underrepresented because I am not a victim." That's what you have to do. Don't be a victim. Empower yourself by playing defense first. All right? Okay, so now we're getting ready for meditation. Now, the meditation does many, many things. And I talk a great deal about high blood pressure. My mom was suffering from high blood. She has suffered from high blood pressure a long, long time. She was taking medicine for decades, and it turns out that one particular medicine, you can have it for many, many decades, and then all of a sudden you experience a side effect, which in her case was constant coughing. And so I was studying on the web, and it turns out that particular high blood pressure medicine shrinks your airway. And so she was coughing like crazy, and I tried to get her the different medicine, struggle with the doctor, try to convince him that it is the side effect and of the high blood pressure medicine, and it's not because she was coughing or she was not having a infection in her lung, all that. So antibiotics doesn't help her. In fact, it makes it hurt worse. Struggled a long time. Finally, they changed the medicine. The second medicine, she started having swelling in her body. That was not good. But in any case, what I'm trying to say is that they never try to find the cause of the high blood pressure, hypertension. They call it essential hypertension, which means that 95% of people who suffer from hypertension, the doctors don't know why, they don't care, they just give you medicine. I would not accept that. And finally, we found a doctor. Just a couple of weeks ago, we found a doctor, a cardiologist, that says that her high blood pressure comes from the left valve. As she ages, is not closing properly, and so she's starting on a new medicine that is not to lower high blood pressure, but to try to fix that problem. And as a result, it lowered the high blood pressure. That's a That's an important lesson, and this is something that I really insist is that don't don't fix the symptom as if you fix the underlying problem. Now, so where does high blood pressure comes from, other than a defect on the heart? And actually, the two things are related. I suspect that in the beginning, my mom had high blood pressure not because of the heart. The defective heart was actually a result, not the cause. And for most of us, the cause of high blood pressure is just anxiety. We're stuck in the fight or flight. And so this meditation, whether you do it in motion or in static form, especially when you do it in static form, when you stand, when you sit, right? Now, but the problem is that most of us don't know how to sit. It's very difficult for us to sit, do nothing. And so we always start with mindfulness in motion to get your mind get you to get used to anchoring your mind. And so now we're entering to the static. And when we do static, we don't just sit and do nothing, but instead we focus on our on a belly button, and we try to learn how to breathe with our stomach. And this turned out to be a very important longevity exercise, because what it does is it uses your diaphragm. And when you use your diaphragm, it actually cycles back and forth between the sympathetic and the parasympathetic, creating that harmony once again in the nervous system, and removing anxiety and all that. And so that 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 is the important exercise to truly lower your blood pressure medicine, unless you have a defect in your heart. Okay. All right. Now, before we do that, though, we need to learn to relax. We need to learn to relax. Okay. Relax first. And so to relax, we're going to do two exercises. One is an energetic exercise, and one is a restorative exercise. All right. So come back to this stretch, lift up, lean back, open, relax. Okay. And now we're going to focus on the right palm, bring up the right hand, make a fist, follow the fist, get ready. One, feel the vibration coming back slowly. Two, come back, sit up straight, down, down, up, down, down. One more time, up, up, down, down. Open the shoulder. One, two, three, four, and five. All right. Come back to our breath. Check to see if our hearts are raising. Check to see our breath is huffing and puffing. We slow all that down. We do it by focusing on the breath and just whisper to your breath and says, I know you're breathing in and I know you're breathing out. One breath at a time. All right. Okay, so now we're going to do the restorative exercise, basically energizing the vagus nerve, which is the very important part of our parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. So I want you to come back to the spine, lift up the spine, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, relax. Now I want you to put the thumb in front of your shoulder, roll up the four fingers. I want you to listen to your elbow. As you raise your elbow, you raise your shoulder, you lift up your upper torso. Now we're going to point the elbow back. Now you open that shoulder, you squeeze that tendon point in the back. Now we're going to lower that shoulder, lower the whole entire upper torso. Relax. And then we're going to point the elbow forward, which means that we're looking down. We're bending our back, we're bending our neck. And from here, we're going to lift up the elbow. We could be looking at the camera. Lift the entire up torso towards the ceiling. And now as we turn, we're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees, squeeze the back. And as we come back down, we're looking straight ahead until you point the elbow forward, you're looking down. We're going to close the mouth and we're going to breathe very gently. Breathe in, until we open the shoulder. And then we're going to breathe out. And as we breathe out, we say to ourselves, relax. And then breathe in, lift up the upper torso, open the shoulder, and then breathe out, relax, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in, lift up, open, breathe out, relax. Okay, all right. Now we're ready for sitting meditation. And it's very important that we come back to the body. We examine the body, we divide it into 7 parts. The first are your legs. You don't have to sit like I do, you can just sit on the chair. But when you sit on the chair, you make sure that the height of the chair is just right so that the bottom of your feet are touching the ground and the bottom of your feet are right below the knee. So if you sit too high, you're dangling your feet. If you sit too low, you have to either put your feet in front or in the back. If you have the back of the chair, you try not to lean on the back of the chair. But if you have a back problem, then I would put a small pillow in the middle of your spine against the back of the chair. But you don't kind of lay down, relax. You actually learn to use your spine. We'll come to that in a minute. The legs are this first part, then our hands. Now, it's very important that you just relax your hand. Try not to do any hand gesture. Try not to lift up your hand. You want to use as little muscle as possible. Now we come to the spine. I want you to focus on the lower part of your spine. I want you to walk up the spine as if you're hanging the spine on the ceiling. You stretch towards the ceiling. Now we're going to do one more thing, which is that you lean forward first. And then you lean back. But as you lean back, you anchor your mind on the lower back, either side where the kidneys are. And you hold your hip in place and you lean back the upper torso. As you do that, you feel the pressure on either side where the kidneys are. And you keep leaning back, you keep leaning back, leaning back, and then you just relax while maintaining the pressure on your lower back. Now comes the shoulder. You lift up the shoulder and you open that shoulder and you relax the shoulder and you relax it some more. Now comes to your head. We want to put the weight of the head on top of the spine and not use the neck muscle, which means that we lean back the forehead until the ears on top of the shoulder and you have color uh, on your clothes. You should be able to feel the color. Now I want you to tuck in your chin slightly so the top of the head is on top of your spine. Now comes to the eyelid. I want you to close your eyelid, but like the baby, we don't shut our eye when we sleep. We just kind of relax the eyelid. So you see a little bit of light coming through your eyelashes. You might be able to see the floor, your knee. Finally, we come to the tongue. We want to close your mouth and then put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth, where the teeth meets the roof of your mouth. This turns on your salivary gland. Make sure that you're in rest and digest. It also makes sure that any saliva you generate will flow into your stomach and not to your lung, so you don't choke on that. And finally, it provides the electrical path, which we'll use in a later on. So now I just want you to do that. And after you do all that, then I want you to come back to the breath. Before we do anchoring, we're going to do knowing. I know that I'm breathing in. I can feel my in breath. I know I'm breathing out. I can feel my out breath. Now I want you to anchor your mind on your belly button. And as soon as you know that you're breathing in, I want you to relax the stomach as if you're taking your belly button and just bring it forward. And as soon as you're breathing out, I want you to take the belly button and bring it back as if you're collapsing your stomach. Now, I don't want you to get nervous in doing that, so I just want you to think like, I'm just going to use your mind and let the body do what it does. So you will find that in kind of strange way, when your mind says that move forward, the body actually follows very slightly. Now, don't be so anxious about this part because when we do the floor exercise, that's the part that really trains your diaphragm. So for now, just kind of gently move forward, gently move back without generating more anxiety. And let's just sit for 3 minutes. Just basic exercise using the stomach. Breathe in, move forward, breathe out, move back. Okay? Okay. So the basic exercise turns out that this exercise by itself already have a lot of health benefits, and it's been studied. Its correlation with dementia. Turns out that when you breathe with your stomach, moving your stomach like this, you're using your diaphragm more efficiently. And as you breathe in, you open your stomach, you pull down your diaphragm, you enter into the fight or flight. And when you breathe out, you collapse your stomach, raise up the diaphragm, and you enter into the rest and digest. And cycling between the two autonomous nervous system creates something that you can measure, what's called heart rate variability. So when you breathe in, your heart rate goes up slightly by milliseconds. And when you breathe out, it slows down your heart rate. And the doctor is able to measure that. In fact, your Apple Watch measures that. And knowing that number, they correlate with the brain. And it turns out that the people that were taught to do that, they had a marker they were able to measure in the brain that tells them that they had lowered the chance of having dementia. Pretty amazing. The other thing it does is that it definitely lower your blood pressure. Okay, it definitely does that, and because you lower your anxiety one breath at a time. Now, obviously, when you breathe in, you open your stomach, you pull down your diaphragm, you're increasing your lung capacity, you're getting more oxygen into your body. And when you breathe out, you collapse your stomach, you lift up the diaphragm, you squeeze all the stale air that is in your lung. Okay? The stale air in the lung are moisture. The moisture has a way of destroying your lung. It's irreversible. All right, so now we're going to do a little bit more. This entire exercise is part of the longevity exercise that Taoists do. And now we're going to let go of the belly button and just kind of continue to examine our breath. You can feel that now, even after 3 minutes, the body has some from muscle memory. You can actually feel that your stomach opens slightly when you breathe in, and you feel that your stomach collapses slightly when you breathe out. Now maintain that feeling. This is actually how the baby breathe. When they were born, this is how they breathe. This is how we all breathe, is using the diaphragm, just a matter of more or less. And now what we want to do is we want to come back to the posture once again. Let's stretch your spine. Rotate the hip forward, lean back upper torso. Feel the stress on the two sides of your kidney. All right. And then now what we want to do is in between those two pressure point is the energy point that we call gate to the life. I want you to focus on that, on your lower back. And as soon as you breathe in, I want you to move from that energy point, the lower back, always top towards the top of the head, all the way to the top. And when you go up, I want you to stretch the spine towards the ceiling. And then when you breathe out, I want you to focus on the top of the head and then come down from the front to your forehead, to your bridge of your nose, through the tongue, and then come back to the belly button. And as you do that, I want you to lean back and relax. And if you remember, as you come down, then what you want to do is you want to say to yourself, I want all my anxiety, all my suffering, all of the trouble settle. Let it settle. Like as if you have a glass of water and you have all these debris and particulates inside the water, and you just let them settle. So what remains are clear water, right? Same thing. That's actually called Zen, jhana, right? So let's try it again. When you feel that you're breathing in, move up the spine, from the bottom of your spine to the top of your head, stretch the spine from upward. And then when you breathe out, come back down from the front, lean back, relax, back to the belly button. And then check to make sure that your mind is actually anchoring your body. When you breathe in, lift it up all the way to the top of the head. And then when you breathe out, come back down, lean back and relax. Just like when we do joint exercise, one at a time, one cycle at a time. At the beginning of the cycle is when you want to check your mind, make sure your mind hasn't wandered off. And if your mind has wandered off, just invite the mind back and then set to your mind one cycle. That's all I want you to do. One cycle. Up again. So we are in fact reinforcing that foundation that I call the faith or the confidence, the mindfulness, or what I call anchoring, and the diligence, one at a time. Let's sit for another 5 minutes. Okay, open your eyes. So we'll continue after the breathing exercise. It's a little easier after the breathing exercise, but this is just a taste, right, of what this technique is all about. Now, the Western scientists are starting to understand, starting to examine these techniques. It's actually shown to be very useful, and with the aging populations, with the baby boomers, with the pandemic on the epidemic on the dementia, they really want to study that. And so, what the Taoists, we call the stomach here, this little abdomen, Dan Tan. Tan means feel. Dan means fire. Actually, Dan means the pill. So in the old days, the Taoists were alchemists, and they were actually um, um, making the pill so you can swallow to reduce the inflammation in the body, therefore enhancing longevity. Now, the Chinese are called the French word for Chinese people are Qinhua, Qinhua, and Qin is the name of the first emperor that united to China. And the story was that he was looking for a pill that would promote longevity. So he had all his um, ministers go look for that. And so basically, these are alchemists, and and thinking that if they found it, that would increase the lifespan. Now, Qin Emperor died in his 40s, and that was considered a very long life back then. But in any case, the story was that this one minister was in charge of that, and he goes everywhere. And then eventually he says, I heard that there's a place in the East, and that place, according to the Chinese, is Japan. And so he says, we're going to go, but in order to convince the god to bring back uh, this pill, I need 3,000 child, 6,000 child, 3,000 male and female. And he never returned. He never returned. And so the story was that because he never found it, and so therefore he's afraid to return because he would definitely be beheaded if he does. And then he stay in Japan, and there are people who believe that that was the beginning of the culture, and the timing was right because a lot of the culture in Japan came from the Han Dynasty. Many people drink the tea matcha. Matcha means tea that you grind. And that was the way that we used to drink tea. We don't ferment tea back then. And now we ferment tea. But back then, you actually take fresh tea leaves, grind it into making a soup. And so there's a lot more culture similarity between the two. And some people point to that. So I think, this is what I think. I think he found it. He actually found the lotion of longevity, and it's called onsen, hot spring. Hot spring is full of mineral, and the mineral gets into the bloodstreams and they improve the circulations and therefore reduce the inflammation. And so when you go to Japan, you go to the onsen, which is the word for bath. Then Um, so it's very funny. I because I read Chinese, so I know the Chinese word that they call kanji, and what they call bath is soup. What they call water is cold water. So you be careful when you're going into the hot bath that there's the hot bath and there's a cold water bath, and you're supposed to go in the hot bath for 15 minutes, and you dunk yourself into the cold water, which is like freezing, but it's really a lot of fun. I like it. But in any case, the point is that um, when you go, they always have a list of all the minerals actually stamped by the Department of Health, and really precisely describe the mineral that is contained in that and also the health benefit. And they all have to do with inflammation. Now, coming back to the Dantan is when the Chinese learn to meditate, then they become what is called internal Dan instead of external Dan. Instead of ingesting heavy metal and learning to be alchemists, they learn to be a meditator. And it's the same thing that they can circulate the chi in the body up and down. And now the modern scientists, they think that it's actually electricity that are generated in the small intestines as you massage it with the diaphragm. They're piezoelectric, so they create a lot of static electrons. And then you actually use the chamber between your left brain and your right brain to provide the electrical potential to bring the electricity through these channels and down and making the circulations like that. And so anyway, the more you understand, the more you don't understand, I guess. So last time I said, it's all about experience. I'd rather you focus on the experience and the understanding, but sometimes it helps to understand. All right. Okay. So now we're going to get ready for the floor exercise, which really learn how to use the diaphragm. Okay. Do more of that. And before we do that, we're going to do some energetic exercise again, doing some stretching, but stretching not so much the muscle, but what's called the fascia, right? Myofascia. Myo means muscle, myofascia. And but it's more than that. It's actually the Chinese really can believe that the whole body has this channel, the energy channel that are made out of these connected. They're in between connected tissues. The connected tissue in between the muscles, in between the organs, and so forth. Anyway, enough talk. Let's do it. All right, so we're going to start with 3 deep breaths. Let's come back to the spine, stretch, lift up a shoulder, lean back, open the shoulder, relax the spine. Let's bring our hands together, locking them, put that below the belly button. Focus on the center of the palm. We're going to take a deep breath as we lift up the arm. And as you take your deep breath, I want you to also raise your upper torso. Okay, get ready. Breathe in. Now, follow your hand, breathe out. Stretch until you lock your elbow. You're looking straight ahead now. Unlock your fingers. Turn your palm outward. Open the shoulder as if you're climbing a mountain. All right. And then relax back to the fingers. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead. Unlock your finger and then just climb the mountain using as much force as you can on your shoulder, locking your elbow. Okay, one last time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Looking straight ahead. Climb the mountain and then relax back to the fingers. Palm facing up. Palm facing down. Bring down the palm. Lock your elbow. Eyes forward. Bring up your hand. Palm facing forward. Palm facing up. Now bring it back slightly so you form a straight line between the bottom of your spine, top of your head, and the center of your palm. And you push as hard as you can. Hold it, lean back, come back to the middle, and push. And now lean to the left, come back to the middle, and push. And now lean to the right, come back, and push. Lean to the left, come back and push, lean to the right, come back, focus on the center of your palm, bring it back down, relax, open the shoulder, lean back, relax, bring your right hand, touch your left shoulder, lean back the forehead so you're putting pressure on the right shoulder, grab the right elbow and stretch to the left, come back, sit up straight, looking straight ahead and stretch to the right. Come back, focus on your breath, one breath at a time. Back to the shoulder, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Left hand, palm facing up. Right hand, put that between your fingers and your palm. Bring the left hand down, focus on the left elbow. Push out the left elbow, eyes forward, elbow up, palm facing forward, all the way to eye level. Without turning your body, locking your elbow, bring your left hand to the right. And then locking your elbow, bring it back and then relax. Right hand, sit up straight, bring that down, lock your elbow. Use your elbow to bring up your hand, palm facing forward. Sit up straight without turning your body. Right hand to the left, come back, and then relax back to your breath. One breath at a time. Now sit up straight again, lift up your shoulder, open your shoulder, relax. Right palm facing up, left palm facing down, open your shoulder. Wrist at 90 degrees, and then push the sky up. lock your elbow. Left hand, push the earth down, lock your elbow. Wrist at 90 degrees. And then now bring back your right arm, turn your head to the left to the shoulder, and then turn your eyes all the way to the back as if you're looking at your back. Bring back your eyes, bring back your head, and then relax. The other side, open your shoulder, wrist at 90 degrees, palm facing up, push up the sky, lock your elbow, right hand, wrist at 90 degrees, push down your earth, lock your elbow, bring back your left arm, turn your head to the right, eyes looking at your back, eyes come back, head come back, completely relax. Back to your breath. Now sit properly, open your shoulder, relax. Put your hands together, fingers locking, put that on your lower back, palm facing up, palm facing down, push until you lock your elbow. Now simultaneously focus on the top of your head as well as the center of your palm. Top of the head up, palm of the palm down, one up, one down, stretch your spine as hard as you can, and then relax. Lean back the forehead so you're looking at the ceiling, 45 degrees. Now focus on the center of your palm, bring that up as much as you can, lock in your elbow, and then relax. Back to the breathing. Now sit up straight, open the shoulder, lean back, relax. Put your right palm on your back, eyes looking forward. Bring up your right shoulder, and then relax. The other hand, looking straight ahead, bring up your left shoulder, and then relax. Back to the breath. Right palm, right hand, the back of the hand at the lower part of your spine. Two fingers pointing the left shoulder. Right shoulder down, finger up, and then relax. The other hand, left shoulder down, fingers up. Now put the two hands together, fingers touching. Sit up straight, looking straight ahead. Right shoulder up, left shoulder down, and then relax. The other hand. Sit up straight, looking straight ahead. Left shoulder up, right shoulder down, and then back to the breathing. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Sit up straight, lift up the shoulder, open the shoulder, relax. Two hands, palm facing each other, fingers touching. Sit up straight, fingers pointing down, fingers pointing up, lift it up, and then sit up straight, push the palm forward, and then open the shoulder. One forward, one back, hold that, focusing on your breath. And then relax back to the breathing. Check to see if you're huffing and puffing, and just focus on it. Whisper to yourself, I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time. All right, so let's get down on the floor. And we're going to continue with our joint exercise, starting at the knee. Okay, now put your hands on the knee, and then just go 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now the other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now to the heel, okay? Right foot first, heels up. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Left foot first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The other way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now to the toes. Now I'm going to stand. I'm going to focus on top of the head. Open the shoulder, lean back, relax, looking straight ahead, and lift up your heel. Focus on the top of your head, looking straight ahead, and then down. Impact the heel slightly. Second time. Down. Okay. One last time. Down. All right. Okay. So in the Dharma talk, I'm going to be talking about fear. Okay. Fear is the basis of all the chaos that we have now. And fear is what's causing you to lose balance. So the way to conquer fear is by anchoring your mind. Don't let your mind drift, okay? You let your mind drift, then fear comes, and then now you lose balance. Let's try that. Let's stand on the right foot. This is the balance. It's important. Actually, this exercise reduces your chance having dementia. Because left brain, right brain, okay? Now we're going to kick the right foot 3 times. Okay, get ready? No, I cannot focus. Let me focus. Okay, now come as soon as you kick, you come back, right? The more I try, the harder it is. Okay, get ready. 2, come back. 3, come back. Okay, relax. 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do one more joint exercise, which is the hip. As we age, we lose the flexibility of the hip, and that's why we fall so easily. Because as soon as we lose balance, the only thing that can restore balance is the hip. All right. So this is important exercise. Is the hip. So let's stand on the right foot, bring it to the left, form a straight line between the heel, the hip, the shoulder, and just turn as hard as you can. Then go back to the right and then relax. Second time, turn along that straight line between the heel, the knee, the hip, and the shoulder, and then relax. One last time, and then relax. Okay, right foot, bring it back, stretch, relax. Second time, turn, and then relax. One last time, turn, and then relax. Okay? Okay, so we don't have a lot of time left, so let's focus on this very important exercise called pranayama, which exercise the diaphragm. But turns out that it's so magical that you don't even have to think about it, you just have to follow. Okay? All right, so it comes in 5 form. First one, focus on the center of your palm, bring it up, 1, bring it towards you, 2, bring it down, lower your knee, 3, stand up straight, 4. Now, one and 2 is to breathe in. So follow your hand, breathe in. 3 is to breathe out. And then relax. Close your mouth, okay? Breathe in, breathe out. Relax. Always relax on the out breath. Breathe in, because out breath is your rest and digest. Breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. One more time. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, cross your hand, open, breathe out. Breathe in, bring it all the way back, and then breathe out and relax. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, and breathe out. Now we're going to go do 1 minute of standing meditation. So we meditate sitting down, we meditate exercise, and now we're going to meditate when we're standing. All right. So focus on the knee, focus on the knee, loosening up the knee slightly. Focus on your shoulder, open your shoulder, relax the shoulder. Focus on your forehead, lean back, tuck in your chin, relax the forehead. Focus on your eyes, eyelid, and relax the eyelid. Now focus on your breath. And I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. One breath at a time, okay? And before you breathe, at the beginning, you check to see your mind is actually on your breath. If it's not, invite your mind back and just do one breath only. After each breath, you continue another breath, one breath at a time. Practice your triangle, your faith and confidence, your anchoring or your mindfulness, and your diligence. As you gain confidence, the next time gets easier and easier. The beginning is all faith. Okay, now to the second form, which is called balloon breathing. Right foot first, lean back so the toes on the right side are pointing up, and you're looking at the ceiling 45 degree. You bring up your hand, you follow the center of your palm, you roll your body forward. So now the heel on the left is up, and you're looking at the floor 45 degree. And you try to keep your back straight. And then you open the back. As you roll forward, you breathe in. As you go back, you breathe out. Now, for those of you who are new to this, it might be confusing how you breathe in and breathe out. Then what I suggest is that you focus on the breathing out part first. Okay. So as you breathe out, you're more conscious of the breathing out. You just go, I'm breathing out. And then you find that breathing in is natural because you empty your stomach, empty your lung when you breathe out. Breathe out, breathe in. Okay. Breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Relax. Okay. Breathing out needs to relax. Breathe in and then breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. Okay, lower your hand from the hand of your palm to the center of your feet. Let's adjust the posture. And then 1 minute of standing meditation, one at a time. Okay, now left side, continue. Breathe in, breathe out. Relax, right? Always remind yourself to relax. Breathe in. Breathe in is when you check your mind, make sure your mind is with your body. Breathe out is when you relax. Very simple. Just have to do it. Breathe in and breathe out. Always relax. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. One at a time. Breathe in and breathe out. Now focus on the center of your palm. Bring down your hand. Going from the center of your palm to the center of the bottom of your feet. And then adjust your posture. Check your body. And then 1 minute of meditation. One breath at a time. One breath at a time. Okay. Now to the third one, which is called butterfly. So focus in the straight, open your shoulders, relax. Okay, now focus on the center of your palm, bring it up, and then bring it back down. As you bring it back down, lower your knee, and then you bring it back up again. Raise your knee, raise your heel. You're standing on your toes. You follow the center of your palm until the back of the hand touch each other. As you come down, you breathe in. You're looking straight ahead. You don't hunch. Just go up and down. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more time. In. Out. Now focus on the center of your palm. Bring down your hand. Lower your heel. And then relax. And then now we do another 1 minute of standing meditation, one breath at a time. It is very important that you anchor your mind on your breath. You don't let your mind drift away. As soon as you leave your body, that's where anxiety and depression and all that comes. Okay, well, we'll talk about that in the Dhamma talk. Okay, now to the fourth one, which is called push hand. So we stand now with the right foot forward, but we don't have to lean back. We just stand like this. We're looking straight ahead. We bring up the hands as if we are bringing it along a water wheel in front, a water wheel on the top, a water wheel down, and then as you bring down, you lower your body, you look straight ahead, you see the center of the water wheel, and you push with the palm facing forward. As you bring up, you breathe in all the way down, and then you breathe out, relax. Breathe in, breathe out. Now the key here is one is to focus on the center of your palm. Don't let your mind drift away. Two is that is one at a time. Continue, right? One after another, one after another. And then number three is just feel it without judging. Breathe in. Nobody's judging you right now. I'm not looking at you. Breathe in. Open your shoulder. Bring it all the way down. And then breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. In. Out. Very gently. In. Out. All right. Now come back. Another standing meditation. One breath at a time. I know I'm breathing in. I know I'm breathing out. Okay, left side. Get ready. Breathe in. Breathe out. In, out. In, open your shoulder. Out. In, out. In, out. One more time. In, out. Okay, back to the standing. Now, this is the last 1 minute standing meditation. So let's give it the best shot. Relax, focus on your breath, whisper to yourself, I know you're breathing in. I know you're breathing out. Relax on your out breath. Diligent on your in breath. Okay, now the next exercise, if you're doing this for the first time, I want you to either skip it or put a chair next to you in case you get lightheaded, okay? So one of the things that the doctors always ask is do you get lightheaded when you stand up, right? When you're in the hospital, they always measure your blood pressure when you lie down, when you sit up, right? That's because when you change your center of gravity, the body has to adjust to that, and it does it by putting out stress hormone from the adrenal gland. But if you're anxious all the time, anxiety, you're constantly in fight or flight, then what you develop is something called adrenal fatigue. Your adrenal gland doesn't work so fast, and that's why you get lightheadedness. So those exercises actually reverse that, right? Now, get ready. Breathe in, breathe out, open your knee, and then bend your back as you breathe out, and then stand back up. Breathe in, and then bend your back, and then relax. Okay, not so difficult. Okay, now second time, breathe out, breathe in, and relax. One last time. Only going to do one more time. Breathe out, and then breathe in, and then relax. Okay. Now we walk back to our sitting position, and we're going to do 5 minutes of meditation. Continue what we were doing before. Pick up what we were before. And with this exercise, I think that you're using your diaphragm much more efficiently now. So it's much easier to feel the movement of your stomach as you breathe in and breathe out. So let's come back to a posture, stretch, lift up, lean back, relax. Lean back the forehead, tuck in your chin, relax the eyelid, put the tip of the tongue behind the teeth, and then focus on the breath. And you very easily now you can detect the movement of your stomach. Maintain that feeling. Continue to cycle from the bottom of your spine to the top of the head as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, come back down, lean back, and relax. Now, when you practice this, mindful that you're actually building that triangle. And so someone says, my mother was living my mother has lived in a state of anxiety for a long time, and I cannot reach her mind to understand that her high blood pressure is a symptom, not a disease. She's open to also exploring her anxiety, but is not ready to understand the connection between the two. So that's where the triangle comes from. Start with faith, right? And faith is built on experience, either your own experience or someone else's experience. So if you could explain to her that, oh, Danny Mew, mother is 89 years old, and she practices with him every day, and she only needs to take one pill for the now for the valve. But other than that, she had no high cholesterol, she had nothing, no diabetes, no nothing. She practiced with Danny every day, 6 times a week. And or maybe you find some other examples to kind of give her that faith that there is a solution out there that could help her. Starting with that, you show her how to anchor her mind. You don't need to actually do meditation like this. Just walking, pay attention to the bottom of your feet, or just come to us, do the exercise, right? Every other week we rotate. So there's a lot to choose from. And so, and with that triangle, you start with faith, you do the mindfulness, one breath at a time. That's called diligence. You keep building that, and eventually that faith becomes confidence. Okay, so how does the faith become confidence in a sitting position? You breathe in, you go from the lower back to the upper top of the head. You breathe out, you come back to the belly button. That's called anchoring. You're anchoring on the chi this time. And then you do another one. That's called diligence. And then pretty soon you feel that there's something actually rising. It's as if something is rising. You're not sure you're imagining it or not, but you feel that something is rising and you're just following it. That's when you start to have some confidence that something is working. And we call that rising of the energy, the life energy, the pearl, like the pearl that you put in front of the of the dragon. It's Chinese New Year last week, or 2 weeks ago, I don't remember. And if you live in Chinatown, they have a parade, and they always have the lion and the dragon. The dragon is this long thing, requires 20, 30 people, but there's always a guy in front with a stick and then a sort of a pillow-like thing that's called a pearl. The dragon likes to chase after shiny object, the pearl. So the energy that rises within you is called the pearl. And the dragon is your mind. That's why we call it the dragon chasing the mind, the pearl. So you just follow the pearl to the top of the head, stretch your spine, follow the pearl back to your stomach, the dantian, relax. But you make sure that it's a wandering dragon, it's a free dragon. So this is the time now where you go up, you move up a notch, and you enter into this technique called the wandering dragon chasing the pearl. When you get to the top of the head, you remind yourself that the dragon is your mind. Wandering dragon means that it's a free mind. So don't constrain it on top of your head. You just let it go, as if the dragon sees a cloud on top of your head and says, "Oh, that's my ancestral home. Let me go there." You relax. And then when you breathe out, you come back in, relax, and you're back to your stomach. And pretty soon, you feel that your head is very cool and your stomach is very warm, as if the stomach is now the cave for the dragon. So when the dragon returns to the cave, once again, you let it rest. You don't get too excited, and you just wait till you breathe in again. You move up, get past your head, look back down to your body, and then when you breathe out, you come back to the stomach. All right, let's sit for 5 minutes. 5 minutes over time, and relax, relax, always relax, and always focus on the sensation, which is how your body senses the change, sends a signal to your spine. That's your intelligence. And you try to just focus on the sensation without judging. Judging is your brain, that's your intellect. The intellect actually hinders the intelligence. And last time I mentioned how the scientists discovered that the brain can only process 10 times a second, whereas your spine can process 1 billion times a second. That's 100 million times faster. Okay, open your eyes. Put your hands together. Imagine there's a center. That's an energy point. Imagine there's a circle, and just kind of put your hands together like this. And then massage your face from the forehead to the chin. Massage the side of the face. Put the center of your palm on the temple. Massage that. Massage between your eyebrow. Massage the forehead, and then massage where the triangle is. That's another energy point. And then now massage the top of the head, the back of the head, the lower part of the head, Massage the neck, massage above the ears, back to the face, and then back to the fingers. All right. So hopefully you guys keep up with the practice. One of the students actually said that there are like, I don't know how. I guess I can take a look. There's more than I think there are more than 300 episodes. Right? We've been around for so long, uh, even before the pandemic. And what she does is that every day she would just follow one of those, starting way back then. So anyway, end of class, keep up with the practice. Try to sit at least, try to meditate 15 minutes a day. 15 minutes is, or maybe 14 minutes. It's only 1% of the day. There are 1,440 minutes in the day. And you can, I don't recommend that you just do the entire meditation sitting, okay, especially in the morning when you're not quite wake up yet and you're just going to fall asleep, right? So maybe stand for a few minutes and then sit for a few minutes, make that total of 15. All right. Okay, so I'm going to do the Dharma talk now. This is optional. You don't need to stay, or if you cannot afford to stay, then it's all recorded. All right. Okay. So I woke up this morning, and first thing I do is I look at my phone, do all the things I like to do on the phone. And you remember way back when I was trying to arrange to have Professor Kwok, chairman of the psychology department at the University of West, to come talk to us about mental health. Turns out that the day that I invited her was the day that they had the fire in Los Angeles, and she had to cancel because turns out that PG&E turned off all the power, and she didn't have any power, so therefore no Wi-Fi, no way of joining Zoom. And then since then, she's been busy. She had to go back to Singapore, where she was born and raised, and visit her aging parents and all that. Enjoy the holiday, and she came back. And so this morning she posted on Facebook, which I like to share with you. And she was answering people on why she had become so political, talking about this and that. And then somewhere in there she said, the moment the good and the wise people stayed silent, the evil and the stupid would triumph. It's not about winning a fight, it's about not losing our rights. Oh, I like that. I like that. I like women with a purpose. This is similar to this week's class. For some reason, it was not posted publicly. So even though I had started it, it never showed in your feed, and so I tried to figure out why. And it turns out that they thought that my show description, my class description this week, was too political. It was, they considered political speech, and they would not tolerate that. Well, I'm not going to lose the platform over my my principal. So I keep tweaking the descriptions, and finally they say, "Oh, that's good enough." All right. You know, there comes a time when if one side tells the truth and one side tells lie, there is no two side. There is no two side. You have to speak out. You have to speak out. And I want to talk about what Buddha think about all this, right? So we have a saying, what would Jesus do? And so here we have a saying says, what did Buddha say? I remember Einstein was the one that says, if there's one religion that would explain science, it would be Buddhism. I like to turn it around. I like to say that science is an attempt to explain Buddhism. In fact, Buddhism really connects quantum mechanics and relativity, which is something that the scientist is trying to struggle now since Einstein. There's a lot of stuff in the science that is talked about in Buddhism. I can go on, but let me talk about what I want to talk about today, which is the universe that we live in. So the scientists um, talks about the Big Bang, which is actually a unfortunate descriptions of what happens at the beginning of the universe, which is that there were no bang, there were actually no fire, there were no sound, there were nothing. It was just darkness, and it was a point of singularity that all of a sudden it starts expanding and creates space. And with space, it creates time because there is no space. What's the point of time, right? And so that's how Einstein explains the world. And he gone as far as saying that time is relative, meaning that time is not something absolute within the universe. There are parts of a universe that have different times, sometimes slower, sometimes higher. So I don't know if you guys seen this one movie, and for some reason I forgot the name now, where they talk about space travel. It was actually an important movie because it was actually a movie where the script was written by a professor at Caltech, where I spent 3 years on a sabbatical. And not only the script was written by him, the entire technical team were this professor and student. And it talks about space travel and talk about how they landed in a planet that was very close to the horizon, what's called the event horizon, very close to a black hole. And they were supposed to be there for just a few hours. They got stranded. And when they returned to the spaceship, their fellow astronaut had aged 27 years, when in fact they were only there for 3 hours. And so that talks about the relativity in time. That, and that's talked about in Buddhism, that as we uh, become enlightened, we move from this realm that we know, where the humans live, to where the higher um, beings live, and they have a different time. Okay, but in any case, um, Buddha described the universe that we live in, this universe that has space and time. He called it the Saha realm, Saha, which is he's being sarcastic because he's saying that the beings that are living in this realm suffers every day. But in order to endure the suffering, we develop patience and endurance. And so he actually called that Saha, where the inhabitants have this great ability to endure suffering and never want to get out. So that's his sarcastic way of describing the world that we live in. But he also used a different word, and I actually looked it up, and I'm not going to be able to pronounce it properly, but it's probably called turbidity. He described this world that we live in as a world of turbidity. Turbidity in English means a fluid that is very cloudy, lack of clarity due to the high number of suspended particles. So if you take a glass of water and it's not clear, it's not pure, then you can't see through it, and that's called turbidity. And he described this world that we live in, the Saha world, by the suffering due to this turbidity, that we cannot see things clearly. And now all this is written up in the description, so don't try to write anything down. Don't try to remember anything. Just follow with my thoughts here. But before I talk about turbidity, this cloudiness that we live in, there are two things that are very distinct about this world that we live in. One is that all the inhabitants, all the beings that are living in this realm are subjected to cycles of birth and death, something called samsara. Now you might say, what do you mean? I thought we only live once. Well, no, I'm sure we do. I'm sure that physical existence live only once. And so you mean we'll come back as a cockroaches? Not necessary. Not necessary. I don't want you to think too much about that. Except when you think about an iPhone or a cell phone, there are parts of the cell phone, right? There's the little card, the SIM card that stores all your personality, all your information. So when you change phone, it's the life and death of a person, of a physical being. You retain that SIM card. And this SIM card can come back in a newer model iPhone and an older model iPhone. It might even come out as Android, God forbid. Anyway, it retains that spiritual DNA through the SIM card. It's similar. It's similar. The scientist actually explains it a little bit better by saying that there's the material, there's the energy, and then there is something called information. It hasn't been proven yet, and it's called the Hawkins radiation. But that's, we're not gonna, I'm just saying that there's a possibility that we might die. Every cell that is in the body came from food that we borrow from the universe. We're gonna return it. Not a single one is left, but maybe something else is left. And then that get into another cycle of life and death. But in any case, Buddha says the Sahara realm distinguishes itself by having inhabitants that are subjected to repeat cycle of life and death. In certain religions, they said if you can escape that, then you have eternal life. Right? The other thing that Buddha talks about is that this realm is where both good and evil can manifest itself equally. In other words, I don't believe that there is necessarily good and bad people. I don't believe that people are necessarily either good or bad from my experience working in the prison. People are capable of evil, extreme evil. I could be surrounded by murderers, serial murderers, rapists, people who are incarcerated because of their of the deeds. But the same person is also capable of compassion and loving kindness. It also has to do with the conditions. So this is what Buddha says, is that the realm is such that the inhabitants are capable of good and evil equally. So I don't think that the people who vote for Trump, even though I invited them out, are evil. Never. I think it's unfortunate they were guided into what I would call non-virtuous act. But that's how it is. That's just how Buddha thinks that we are. That's why he called it the world of stability. It's a muddy world. We're not enlightened. Now, I'll go ahead and talk about a little bit about this world of stability. And there are 5 reasons why we're suffering in this world. One is called kappa stability. Now, it's kind of strange. What does kappa mean? Kappa is a measure of time. And 10 kappa is about 13.4 billion years. It's a time of pretty much since, not exactly from the Big Bang, but basically starting at when we start to have light. And it basically says that because you're living in a material world, you're always going to be struggling with material. And over time, there's going to be insecurity due to your material needs. So these days, we talk a lot about food security. We have plenty of food in the United States, but not so much outside because of climate changes, because of wealth distribution, because of all kinds of reasons. Lots of people have no food security. We have no border security. Why is there so many people wanting to cross our border? Because they cannot live anymore in their part of the world due to any number of reasons. So we develop a lot of problems now that Buddha says is just the way it is, because you're living in a material world, not a spiritual world. You're struggling with disease, you're struggling with earthquake, you're struggling with fire, you're struggling with flood, you're struggling with all these natural things that are intrinsic to your existence. And people are fighting over it all the time. War against war against war. I don't know how many war I've been through since I don't remember, starting with Vietnam War. Venerable Hong was talking about his experience. He grew up in Vietnam. He talks about his experience in Vietnam War. And he talks about Agent Orange. I mean, we fought a war in a third country because we believe in something, and yet the weapon that we use is indiscriminate. It didn't just kill the plant to reveal Chi Minh Ho Trail. It kills all the vegetations and all the people. And I mean, it just goes on and on. And Buddha basically said, well, yeah, that's you're struggling with material. What do you expect? Well, in addition to struggling with material, we struggle with our opinion. That's the second ability, is the view. Everyone has an idea. Everyone has an opinion about what they should do. And then finally, we struggle with our desire. We struggle with our addiction, our affection. And then we struggle with each other. Struggle with the society, changing the society. The society has changed a lot, right, since I've been here. Our idea of what's important, what's not important has changed a lot, and we can't quite keep up with it. I've been an educator for the longest time, and I noticed that my students were different from my generation. And I studied that, and I realized that they're different because they have different way of growing up. And I point to Sesame Street. I say, Sesame is a show that turns education into entertainment. And my student who grew up with that expect to be entertained. So if they cannot study, if they do not understand what I say, instead of working harder like the way I used to do it, they would blame the teacher for not making entertainment. All right, I accept that. But that's a change in the society. The change continue, and all of a sudden I noticed my kids were making fun of each other. We were doing crazy things on the dinner table. They even fought on the dinner table. Where did that come from? Oh, that was from Simpson. Okay, the world is changing again. I was in technology for the longest time. I remember all these social network that comes up. Facebook was not the first one. Obviously, Facebook is very powerful now. But I remember when Facebook came out, we all laughed at Facebook. We said, what the hell happened here? What did they do? Because before that, we used to be able to comment on a post by saying thumbs up or thumbs down. They removed the thumbs down. What's the point of that? Oh, they were so smart. They realized that they make more money by removing the thumbs down, because if you don't like something, then get the hell out. Form your own group. And all of a sudden they have more traffic. And then I realized that, people don't talk to each other anymore. People cannot have disagreement anymore. There's no way to thumb down. You just avoid them. I'm doing the same thing. I say, you don't like it here? Leave. The door's right there. You vote for Trump, you don't belong here. I have no time for you. I'm doing exactly the same. People don't read anymore, so they listen to podcasts. And now, to get audience, They have extreme views. People like that. Nowadays, if you do fact checking, they call it censoring. Wow, that's new. The world's changing. Bottom line is that we feel very insecure in this world. Everybody does. It's not one side or the other. Everybody does. Insecure because of material, insecure because of border, insecure with this, insecure opinion, insecure. And insecurity turns into fear. Fear turns into negativity, and negativity turns into grievance. The word grievance comes from the word grief, which means that you have lost something. People feel lost, right? They interview someone who voted for Trump. He says, "I like Trump. I just like to be able to say nigger and cunt and chink and faggot and all that. That's my right." He lost that right. I've been called chink so many times you wouldn't believe. So they grieve for the laws, and that turns into grievance. And an election now becomes one of grievance, not one of governance. We used to elect officials that would serve the country, not anymore. Grievance turns into chaos, chaos turns into destructions. We are destroying from the country from within. The irony is that we are a democracy. We are every bit of a democracy as before. We haven't lost that because our president, a new president, is popularly elected. So we are a democracy. But it's a democracy of grievance, not governance. And grievance comes from fear. We're here to defend ourselves, not just our right. As Professor said, we're here to defend ourselves, to defend our health, our physical health, our mental health, our spiritual health. So we have to understand how this negativity works. It all comes from fear. From fear, we have anxiety, we have depression, we have agony, loneliness, boredom, regret. Those are the basis of negativity. And each one of them splits into variations. We're living in shame and remorse and embarrassment and nervousness and loss and self-loathing and anger and jealousy and sadness. These are all negative emotions. These are all negative emotions that are normal behavior because we live in the Saha realm. So the only solution is that we create what is called Pure Land, place of enlightenment within us. A lot of people think, oh, Pure Land, no, you mean like the heaven. You go there? No, 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 not necessary. Maybe someday, but right now, the Pure Land has to be from within. We have to do that first. Create a place of peace, of compassion, of love and kindness within us. That's how we protect ourselves. And then we try to extend that to a family. That's how we protect our family. And hopefully we extend that to our neighbors. That's how we protect our neighbors. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I do. I'm going to talk about the mindful practice for a Shambhala warrior. Living in this Saha realm in order to stay healthy, physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and to overcome negativity. This is what I do. And I borrow something from my neurologist, and it comes into 5 things, and it's spelled N-E-U-R-O. I said that before. I'm going to repeat it. N is for nutrition. We live in the Saha world. We have to consume material. It's what we do. But we have to eat mindfully. We have to eat real food. Stay away from processed food. Learn to eat on schedule. Some people say, I'm not hungry yet. No, you have to eat because your body has to have this clock that says that it's time to put out the enzyme. It's time to digest. You got to work with the clock. And so eat on schedule. You're not hungry, eat very little. But don't skip a meal. Don't say, oh, I'm going to eat later. No, no. The body needs to maintain that clock. Eat for probiotic health. We ignore that part. Try not to eat or drink to satisfy craving. Well, easy for you to say. I have my tea, I have my coffee, I have my wine. what other craving do you want? No, no, no. I understand that, right? But and you understand that too. So that's for N. E is for exercise, mindful exercise. Work on your abdominal breathing. That's very key. That's everyone, right? If you do yoga, if you do tai chi, if you do any kind of spiritual practice, longevity practice, always come back to abdominal breathing. So learn to do that. You don't have to do it sitting, you can do it exercising, right? Make sure that your exercise, you don't go run around the block. Okay, that's not good for a aging, right? You maintain that balance, but you do stretching, right? So we do that next week with the Yijing YJJ stretching. We do cardio, and we tone up our muscle. You do that exercise. U is for unwinding, right? Now a lot of people say, I relax, I take vacations, I go to cruise ship. No, you don't. You're more stressful than ever. Relax doesn't mean um, relax means try to learn to activate your rest and digest, right? Try to restore the balance between your two autonomous nerve system, your parasympathetic and your sympathetic. Try to restore your cortisol sensitivity, because if you're stuck on the rest and digest, you're constantly putting out cortisol, which is the steroid that allows you to reduce your inflammation in your body. If you lose the sensitivity to that, then you lose your self-healing power. Make sure that you have plenty of saliva. That's a very, very important indication that you have that balance. Simple. R is for rest. I believe in sleeping before 11 o'clock because I believe in that clock where between 11 and 1 is your bladder, and well, between 11 and 3, basically 4 hours, is your gallbladder and your liver chi activates. And so you're getting 4 hours of blood transfusion. It's very important that you lie down, you rest. So try not to get past 11 o'clock. I believe in sleeping with an eye shade because the eye get activated, turns on the fight or flight, puts out cortisol, and now you have no melatonin or not enough. You're not going to get a good night's sleep. Put eye shades on, right? Try to sleep quickly by meditating, by focusing on your breath, and just try to exercise that. And if you have to get up in the middle of the night, we always have to do that now, once, and then you come back and very quickly you go back to sleep. Don't look at the phone. Don't turn. Don't do any activity. Just go back to sleep. So these days I sleep at 10 o'clock. I wake up at 6 without ever waking up in the middle of the night. That's pretty good. Finally, the most important is O, openness. This is the most important thing that we do because anxiety is actually easy to fix. It just means that you have to learn to relax. Depression is much tougher. Depression is much tougher. So try not to separate yourself from the others. Don't go into depression. Open to curiosity. Learn new things. Open to gratitude. You're here learning. You're here partly because your curiosity, and I spend a lot of time explaining things. I want to get more of you to be curious about what we do here. Open to curiosity. Go back to when we were a child, we were full of curiosity. Open to gratitude. Everything starts with gratitude. Every day he says, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for what I got. I'm grateful for my body. I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the first responders. Look for things to be grateful for. Open to forgiveness. Open to acceptance. Open to sharing. Open to service to others. Open to loving kindness. Open to compassion. Open to sympathy. Open to equanimity. That's how you survive in the Saha world. May all be blessed with peace and with happiness and with health. Namaste. See you all next week. Bye-bye. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Xin nghỉ
Thank you,
Kiên.
Kiên.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for all the donations.